Finally, dividing complex numbers 3.3.3. I've got two complex numbers here. I got 3 plus 2i divided by 4 minus 2i. The way I do this you might not have seen before. It might seem kind of strange, but I'm going to divide it by the conjugate of the bottom one over the conjugate of the bottom one. The conjugate has the same real component and the same imaginary component. In this case, the real component is 4, the imaginary component is 2i, but the sign changes. So this becomes a very poorly drawn plus sign. And I'm going to multiply this as 4 plus 2i over 4 plus 2i. This is 1. So I'm multiplying this complex number. I'm multiplying by 1 in the form of the conjugate of the denominator over the conjugate of the denominator. Now we know how to do this part. It's no fun, but we know how to do it. I've got to FOIL the top and FOIL the bottom. I'll do the top first. When I do the first two terms, I get 12. When I do the outside terms, I get plus 6i. When I do the inside two terms, I get plus 8i. When I do the last two terms, I get plus 4i squared. In the denominator, I get the first two terms are 16. The outside two terms are a plus 8i. The inside two terms are a minus 8i. And the last two terms are a minus 4i squared. So now I got to simplify this. First thing I'm going to do is I know that I squared is -1, so I'm going to get rid of that -1. I'm going to make that a negative sign. I'm going to get rid of that I squared and change that sign to a plus. So I'm going to rewrite this as 12 plus 4 is 16. This 4 plus this 12 is 16. I'm going to combine the two terms that have the I in it. And I'm going to make that plus 14i. Yay, 14i. In the denominator, these two i's cancel, so that goes to 0. I get 16 plus 4, I get 20 in the denominator. To write this in standard form, I've got to keep going. I've got to write this as 16 over 20 plus 14 over 20, and in standard form is I, and then I got to simplify that. 16 divided by 20 in simplest form is 4 over 5. Plus 14 over 20 in simplest form is 7 over 10, and then I've got this I out here, 7 over 10i. So when I divide this complex number, 3 plus 2i, by this complex number, 4 minus 2i, I get this complex number over here, 4/5 plus 7 over 10i. That's how you multiply, that's how you divide complex numbers.